Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers that cover the NFL on a daily basis. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here's your host, Erin Summers.
Welcome into the New Orleans Saints podcast. I'm Erin Summers. I hope that everybody safely got through Hurricane Francine. It definitely had an impact on things here at the facility, and I know that all of you had a lot to go through as well. So hope that everybody is safe and minimal damage out there. As far as the Saints goes, they did opt to stay in town, weather the storm, and make sure they're getting all the preparation that they need for the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. That game is 12 o'clock. It's on Fox. It is going to be an intense matchup. Last week, both the Cowboys and the Saints were just 2 of 6 teams that scored over 30 points, and they were both top 5 in total defense week 1. New Orleans only allowed 193 yards total. Dallas allowed 230. Dallas led the league with 6 sacks and 25 pressures. So their defensive line and even linebackers like linebacker Micah Parsons, they bring a lot of pressure. And for the Saints, they're keying in on a couple things they have to do to be successful against this Dallas D. Here's tight end Taysom Hill.
I think being really efficient and effective on first and second down. You know, they got good pass rushers, obviously, and, you get in clear passing situations that's advantage them. So making sure that we do a good job on first and second down, make sure we don't have any negative plays, I think is the key to the game.
Back at practice on Thursday was safety Tyrann Mathieu, who missed yesterday's practice with a heel injury. He did come out of the game early on Sunday. Along with him, it was cornerback Marshawn Lattimore who left the game early. He has yet to practice this week with a hamstring injury. And left guard Lucas Patrick came out early with a foot injury. While he missed practice yesterday, he was back on the field today. So that's good news for the offensive line as they've been dealing with a couple injuries. First to Patrick, and it was Landon Young who filled in for him in his absence. And then today, left tackle Taliese Fuaga missed practice as he's dealing with some back issues, and Landon Young then moved over from left guard to left tackle. Landon Young, Mr. Do-It-All, he's going to fill in wherever you need him. So that's what things are looking like right now. Saints have one more day of practice, walk through on Saturday before that game on Sunday. For today's podcast, we have kicker Blake Grupe, who joined me to talk about that big game on Sunday, how he's settling in here in New Orleans, and what he loves about the specialists on this team. Blake, thank you so much for joining me on the New Orleans Saints podcast. I don't think you've done this before.
No, it's my first time, so excited to get it.
How are you doing today?
Doing good. Just got done with that practice, and I guess ready to get home. I've never gone through a hurricane before, so from Missouri we get tornadoes, but nothing like this. So.
Yeah, it's a little different, but this one seems pretty tame. So everything should be good. Just a lot of rain. But going back to last weekend, you had a pretty good game. Mm-hmm. I know you've been going through, second year kicking competition again, but you're always so cool, calm, collected with everything. Where does that come from?
I guess just the work that you put in, I guess, it's especially with us, but there's 1,000 things that could go wrong, I guess, but, why focus on any of the stuff that could go wrong instead of, shift your focus towards what you do and what you do right and how you're going to go out there and, do your thing and get the job done on the field, I guess. You said there's so many things that can go wrong. Mm-hmm. How much of a benefit is it that we play indoors? Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah. Some of those guys in the AFC North and guys that I know in those, they're always on me about how lucky we are to play indoors, and that's one of the reasons we looked at coming here, I guess, coming out of the draft, and I definitely understand how fortunate I am. I think we have 12 this year, and it just simplifies it, and so does Zach and Maddie when they get it in the right spot. Everything is as simple as it can be, and you just try to put it down the middle. I was looking back at some of your pictures, and there was like this one game at Notre Dame where it was pouring rain.
What's the worst environment that you've had to play in?
My senior day at Notre Dame was we played Boston College, and we ended up beating them 44-0. But in the third quarter, I believe it snowed 4 or 5 inches in a span of literally in the third quarter. Like they were scraping, they were scraping the lines and everything. And I'd kicked that week in the snow a little bit. But I wore the big jacket and a pair of like gray loose sweatpants on the sideline, and we scored that many points, so I was always up and loose and ready and warm, and heated benches. We had everything you could possibly need up there. But that was an interesting one, getting to play, and like all the O linemen came and kicked the spot off to make sure I get all the snow out of the way. That was I think everybody wants to play a snow game once, and that one wasn't too bad for me.
Yeah, but after you play it one time, you're like, all right, I'm good on that.
Yeah, and you just simplify everything out there. You don't try to do too much. All they care about is that it goes in, so it doesn't need to be crazy high, especially if it's usually windy. So you just simplify everything. All
right, so Sunday you go 5 of 5 from extra, 57 career long, 52, a 44, and a 39. So 4 of 4. At what point does fatigue set in for a kicker?
That game was definitely close. I think we scored our first 9 possessions. Is what I heard after the game, and obviously we're not out there running around like everybody else, but it's a different level of fatigue, and especially for me, and that's the new kickoff rule also kind of helps with that as well. You're not hitting 9 full out bomb kickoffs. We're placing and stuff like that. So that's kind of one little thing that comes with a benefit. With that new rule, but that was a lot of reps, and going, I think it crept all the way into like midway through the third quarter is the first time we didn't score. Maybe it was a 4. I think we only punted with like 4 minutes left. So wild game. You don't come through those very often, but that one was, if ever fatigue ever really set in on a specialist and a kicker, that one was pretty close.
I thought for sure you were going to get special teams player of the week.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
Yeah, I saw, Monday night Moody put up 6. So, I got to meet him for the first time. We played him in preseason, and he was the first kicker drafted, in our class last year. So, happy for him. He put up 6. And I honestly didn't think I would get it because I figured the returner in Arizona, the first kickoff return touchdown with the new kickoff, I thought that one was a for sure lock. But 6 field goals is a lot. So
you mentioned that the new kickoff rule, I didn't really think about it that way, but it's easier on you. Yeah.
Easier on your body. It demands more because, you're just knowing who the returner are, placement, trying to get the ball to move a little bit. It's a lot. I'd say it's more complicated, and we're able to do more things, but just physically demanding it allows us to kind of save some. And I'm obviously this first year, but I'm curious to see kind of how the body feels going into bye weeks and later into the season versus last year, when you might have 6, 7, 8 full-out kickoffs, where you're hitting 75, 80-yard kickoffs. That takes a little bit of a toll compared to what we're doing now.
How about a 57-yard field goal? What kind of toll does that take?
Well, early in the game and first game of the year, and first attempt, I've never. I think last year my first career field goal was a 30-something, and that one's like a good little introduction in there. And then going into this year, 57 straight off the bat, I was like. I kind of just told myself, this is like, don't let it be you. Don't let this one be the one that, you look back, say that one was not going. You look back after that great game where we had all those scoring, and you just have that one little thing. You're like, wow, that could have been great. So, just told myself, don't let it be you, and just get every bit of it, and I did, and I was pretty juiced up after it.
Yeah, I bet so. Do you get the ball in that situation since it's a career long?
Yeah. Funny story with that one this week is I guess there was 2 rookie referees. And they got authorization from the league to get 2 game balls to sign up for them, and for some reason they thought our balls would be the great balls to take from them. So that was a little unfortunate. But yeah, usually I have a little wall in my house as like a Notre Dame ball, an Arkansas State ball. What else does I have? My first field goal, the Player of the Week last year. And then the rookie field goal record from last year that I think we got in the last week of the year for franchise. So, I got a little ball, and, I'm not going to lie, I was looking forward to grabbing it. And I came in on Monday and was like, they knew I was coming. And then they told me that, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. So it is what it is, I guess.
I know. I saw a lot of guys walking out with balls. I think Lante Taylor had one, Jordan Howden.
Jordan Howden's first interception, all that. Yeah, it was a big day for the fellas out there.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned it, 130 points to lead the team last season. You became the club's rookie record holder in field goals made. You had 30 field goals last year.
Mm-hmm.
You went 40 of 40 from extra. How are you topping that this year? I mean, you started off pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, last year, week one was a busy game, too. I think we had one over 50. I want to say 3 field goals. You can't top it unless you just, take care of 1 week at a time, I guess. You can't try to go out there and think about that. All you can literally do is, worried about taking it 1 quarter at a time and try to knock out, each half, just finish the half and finish the next. And next thing you know, you're 2 weeks in. The next thing you know, it's just later in the year. So you just can't really look too far ahead. But obviously you want to top everything. So
are you on the sideline like watching the offense just progress down the field, waiting and getting excited and anticipating when it's getting into range and hoping you get a chance?
Yeah, it's I feel like we watch more on defense because sudden change, fumble recoveries, interceptions. When the offense has the ball going down the field, there's kind of like little routines because you want to hit into the net. You don't want to hit too much. You don't want to overcomp. You just want to, first of all, your body be loose because you never know when you could get thrown out there on a sudden change play. Or, we do it usually. First down, I get like a no step into the net. Second down, we get a little snap hold behind, and I just kind of step through it. Third down, I hit one, and next thing you know, I'm walking with a little strut up there ready to, take the field. So that's kind of, I guess, my routine. But, yeah, we're always watching. But, there's – obviously, I can't necessarily see sometimes with some of the guys that crowd up, and so we always are on the net on the away side, like kicking towards which way the team's going, so they're on the other side of the field, and watch the jumbotron and pay attention to what down and distance and what yard line, and if they call for 3, then I'm hitting the smelling salt and walking out there. So.
You actually do that?
Oh yeah. From time to time, like sometimes not every single time. Like in college, I kind of really got on it. That kind of helped me. Regulate, and bringing up to the moment to get into the game when I was younger. Now I use it for more of like if we have, say we go into the midway through the second quarter and we haven't, had an opportunity to score, I haven't touched the field. It just kind of spikes your adrenaline and rises you up to kind of that game day juice and just really just kind of wakes you up and gets you ready to go out there.
That's hilarious. I didn't know the players did that.
Yeah. Well, you probably can't see from the stands, but like the field is littered at certain points, especially like on the sideline up and down. There's just their little red packets. They break them. But I used to use them a lot last year too for kickoff. When we're hitting those full kickoffs, that would kind of bring me up. But now I just try to use it if I feel like I need a little pick me up to get back to that that line I guess we need to be on.
Makes sense. Or you brought it up. You said that sometimes you can't see over the players in front of you. How different was it going into the Dome this year versus last year and the issues that you had with some security?
Yeah, that was some people asked me if that really happened, and I was like, trust me, I would not make that up. It's the same exact guy that works our tunnel every single time. And actually at the last preseason game this year, he told me that he actually got called in and like had to talk to the security people throughout the Dome, and like they asked him what happened, and I was like, well, I'd make sure and told him by no means was I trying to like get anybody in trouble, and he was like, well, no, I didn't get in trouble. I just told him, he was doing his job. I know now that when you take the field in pregame, you change into the NFL type stuff. But in college, you just wear a travel suit and you get there, walk the field, go in, change, come back out. Different in the NFL, you can wear whatever you want. And so I just came in. I was a rookie in my first preseason game. I had no idea what was going on. So I just walked out there in the shorts and T-shirt that I was wearing, and he saw a guy looking like me in just normal clothes walking out, and of course he's going to stop me. But then for that game to go how it did, and then I'm trying to go see my family after, and they're trying to stop me again because I don't have the post-game bracelet or whatever. And so by no means as I've said it all, but it is a funny story, and it just kind of opened up everything to start that year. And anything you put out on social media, you never know what the heck can happen. So it's a good lesson to make sure you know what you're putting out there.
Speaking of social media, do you remember your first ever Instagram post?
Oh my, I want to say it might be a little bit like in a suit or something. Am I a little dude in a suit?
Probably you're a little dude in a suit.
When my hair was like super blonde, and I'm sure I probably had like a bowl cut or something. I don't know.
Do you remember the caption?
No.
It was, "They call me Ranch because I be dressing."
Yeah, that's that makes sense. That's probably something I would say. Do you know what year it was?
It was June 26, 2012.
would have been 14. That sounds like something a 14-year-old would say. That's out there. But I think it's a good, cute little picture of me when I was a little man. So.
And like you do look a lot older now. So people that kind of rag on you still looking like a little kid, it's not true.
Yeah, it's they say I look young now, but they should have seen what I looked at, like how I looked when I showed up to, college as a 135-pound walk-on freshman. I really looked young there. So, it's kind of funny to, like, swipe through and, like, just look at each year by year. There's they think I look young now. You should have seen it in 17. So.
Yeah, you can go back, fans that are listening. What's your Instagram handle?
It's just at Blake Grupe, But on the Arkansas State, you can go back to like their roster photos back from 17. And I'm pretty sure all my roster photos are on the Instagram too. They're in there. You just got to do some diving, I guess.
Exactly. I did it. Arkansas State to Notre Dame. You registered your first year at Arkansas State, and then you earned the place kicking job week 3 of year 2.
Yep.
So, we've talked about the kicking battles that you went through, but you have definitely faced some adversity in your career, and then transferring to Notre Dame, a much bigger program. How did you kind of draw off of that and your experience when you got to the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it really started in high school. I was a soccer player. Like I kicked on the football team on Fridays, but don't get me wrong, I was a soccer player. Like I missed a game my senior year, and like actually my little brother kicked that game, and he ended up being a quarterback later, and he's actually kicking it at University of Central Missouri now. But going into college, like the whole concept of like fall camp and off-season weights and honestly just practicing, like getting kicks in practice, like that wasn't a thing for me. So that I had a whole year of really adjusting. And then I kind of got thrown into the job year 2. And by no means, like I was not prepared. I really learned. I got thrown into the fire and really had to learn what preparation was like and routines and all the mental battles and how you have to stay on top of yourself. I guess as I would have been a redshirt freshman, and I think I won like 60-something%. Like I remember I hit an absolute duck in the bowl game, missed another one at halftime. Coach was on me. Like it was like I've literally hit the very bottom, and now I'm in the NFL. I'm not saying that's the top, and there's so much more you can accomplish, but. I've been at the bottom, I've been at the top, and in that same bowl game, I had to hit a field goal with like 3 seconds left. I think push overtime, and I mean I was shaking. Like I didn't I didn't have my routines and my preparation to fall back on, and I made it, and that was kind of the turning point. I had to compete with the guy that was on scholarship they brought in that year and won the kicking job, and actually had my best collegiate career ever, and then to go all from there, then go to Notre Dame, where it's a complete. I mean, I was actually on a I was able to. I rose up to from an Arkansas State group of 5 to one of the most historic college football programs where, I mean, the exposure and everything. I had to then learn how to deal in like self-actualization and realize that I was good enough to be there, and new city, new coaches, new competition, new everything. I went through my own battles there as well, but I honestly figured out that what it took, I guess, to go through all of those new cities, new competition, new everything, and I got to go through it as almost a trial basis at Notre Dame. And then when I was able to come in here, it's the same exact process I'd done the year before, and I was able to kind of hit the ground running, and now here I am. So that's, I guess, my little story on how I've just every step of the way I've just kind of figured it out. Not many people from my hometown have gone to play college ball, or yet alone the NFL. So I've just kind of figured it out one step at a time, and just really tried to be myself through all of it, and next here I am. So there's really no telling what you can or can't do. You just, when you work hard at it, you just never know where you're gonna end up.
Yeah, I mean, we came in towards the end of that story, but it's been fun watching you the past couple years here. Tell me about the specialist room. What's the vibe? How are all the guys?
Yeah, we're getting outnumbered, internationals here. It's 2-2. Zach's, I believe, year 9 here, year 8, year 9. Not your average snapper. He was a D tackle in Dallas when he first came out, and Zach's been awesome. Zach's been the rock that we don't really have to worry about, when it comes to snapping. You have a really good snapper when you don't know their name, and you you don't have to worry about them. You don't even think about the snapper.
It's like offensive linemen. You don't want to ever hear their name.
You don't ever want to hear their name. Zach does a good job. We know Zach's going to do a good job. You don't have to worry about Zach. And so, that's the step one of being able to do what we do. Matty now has played. He came from the SEC. He went from Australia playing AFL over there to coming over to FAU playing however many years he did there, and then to Vanderbilt in the SEC where they punted a lot. So he's played in those big environments, and he's a great holder. And I feel comfortable with him out there. And then we have Charlie.
Yeah.
He was the biggest. Might have the biggest leg in the world, but. He's played 3 football games, and all those sideline preparation stuff I talked to earlier. He has to learn a lot of those things, and that we've been able to help him with that. But he has talent. Obviously, you can see that in training camp, and so I feel like we have almost every level. None of us started as specialists, and kicking. We all had our different things, and whether it's nose tackle, soccer, Australian football, or Gaelic football. I mean, we cover it all. So. We all kind of work together, and with Riz and Phil as well, they keep us steered in the right direction, and we just try to go out there on Sundays and do our job.
I obviously don't get to see all of practice during the regular season, but you guys kind of just hang out a lot of the time. You don't have a lot of work with the team. And a lot of times I'll see you guys off to the side, maybe on the outdoor field, going through some kicking and stuff. Yeah. Sometimes I see y'all playing games. What do you guys do to pass the time, to keep yourselves busy?
During the season, obviously you play on Sundays.
Yeah.
Monday we come in, lift, meet, do everything there. So Mondays and Tuesdays we're taking care of our body. Wednesdays we come in like today, and it's a practice day for us, and we have all 3. So it starts out with punt at the very beginning, and then kickoff return, and then we go to the sideline for like an hour, and then it's field goal, then it's punt, and then it's field goal. So that hour, we all have different, stretching routines and whatever it takes for us to be prepared to go out there. But on Thursdays, I mean, it's almost like a pitcher and a pitch count. Like Thursdays, I'm off, I'm not kicking, but I still go out there in cleats, and I can run through, steps, I can run through kind of little mental, just working those routines again. But you can only work your routines for so long, So whether it's getting a lift in during practice or just getting extra reps on the side with Maddie and Zach on a field goal operation, there's a lot of little things. I mean, we could either totally abuse that time and go, sit in the locker room like I know some guys do, especially in college. Some guys be playing ping pong during practice. Like we're not out there playing ping pong. We might be playing catch or working on sides or doing little stuff with the football, but by no means are we just out there goofing off. So there's always something little to be done, whether it's in the weight room or in the training room or on the side of the field, just working little stuff. But our reps in practice are limited, so that's part of being a specialist and taking advantage of those reps, and that's what you're graded off of. I think I had 6 field goal reps today and probably 6 straight kickoffs. So, look at that total number of reps. When then percentage that, it's real easy, make or miss. And, you go 6 for 6, it's a great day. If it's 5 for 6, that one, you maybe dinked off the upright or whatever it is, that's the one that rides with you until the next opportunity to get out there. So, you just have to seriously take advantage of your reps when you're out there. Same way with the game. You never know which one is going to be the game, changer or decider or win you the game. So that's why you just treat everyone with the utmost importance and go out there and try to do your job.
Yeah, it's funny because like doing sideline for a game, I only have 4 or 5 hits, right? Like times when they'll come down to me, and if I mess up one, then I am livid for days about it, and it's just recycling in my head like what I should have said instead. So
that's
I totally get it. Could have crushed the other ones, but Charlie, you brought him up. What is something that he has done or noticed or like that you've had to explain to him as being like American culture that he didn't get?
Well, first of all, it's hard to understand him at times.
He talks so fast, and it just kind of like
and it's
makes
one
worse.
little blob. So everybody's like even outside of our room, everybody is on him about slowing down talking so I can understand him. Trying to think, like early in OTAs, there's one day I saw Riz kind of work with him on how to steer. I mean, this sounds how to set the ball like on the tee and stuff, just little stuff that he might have like just showing him a new way or. Warm up stuff. I mean, he warms up his own way. I warm up my own way, but that's kicking's not a cookie cutter position. But there are little things that I'm sure he has picked up on from me, and and little stuff that I see him do, and I'm like, oh, that's a different way to do it. But look at that, it went in. And it's funny watching him, learn, and we're always on him about his locker, all kinds of stuff. Just he's this new. He's played 3 football games. He kicked 1 year ago now. Like, the story's wild when you really look at it, and you take a lot of the little stuff for granted that we know, and he's figuring it out. So he's done a good job, and I'm sure he'll continue to improve. So it's been fun to watch him, and he's like a little sponge. Like, that guy knows. Like, we were literally talking to him today, like giving him a number on another team, and like somehow that dude knows it. Like, I don't know how. He used to say he'd stay up till like 4 a.m. Watching football games in Ireland. Like, he knows his stuff, and he's really like a sponge, and he's just continued to improve since he's got here.
Yeah, it's funny, when he signed here, he was bugging them about getting a license because he wanted to be able to drive around and see, see what's going on. He still
doesn't have a license. Yeah, he was talking about getting driving lessons because he's drove before, but I think they're on the right side of the road there, and a steering wheel is on the other side. It's just, like, that's another little thing you just take for granted. He's trying to get settled in a new city, and he doesn't even have a driver's license.
Right.
So it's just, he's got a lot of battles in front of him, but I'm sure he's figuring it out.
Definitely. You've settled in here in New Orleans. I mean, you've been out in the community a ton. You participated in the Zurich Classic, the celebrity,
that was awesome.
Celebrity shootout, maybe?
Yeah, it's called the celebrity shootout. Yeah, that was wild. You had to play golf with Roger Clemens and Brian Kelly and Deuce, Pete, there was all of them, Chris Berman. It was nuts. I did not play very well, I'm not gonna lie, but since then I've been better because now I realize, I got tested. So I've got to do a lot of cool things. Rode in the Orpheus Parade with Harry Connick Jr. He just reached out to me, liked my story of like how I got here, and next thing you know, I'm in Jersey right next to him at his crew and on Mardi Gras. And that was, that's nuts. I FaceTimed my grandma, she lost it. It was really cool. So and the Saints do a good job about helping you get out there, and my story is kind of unique, and some people like to hear about it, I guess. So I like to go out there and help and do what I can, and you look back on what I've been able to do in 1 year. It's like some of these guys that have been in the league for years and years. It's how much they're able to give back and help is pretty special.
Mardi Gras is something you're going to have a really fun time explaining to Charlie.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be an interesting one. He's not going to have a clue what's going on.
No, but you've done a lot of volunteering and stuff with kids. What's one story that kind of stands out, whether it's a funny story or a touching moment?
I went to Trinity. I'm not exactly. I think it's Episcopal school. I believe that. I could be wrong there, but I know it's Trinity something. And I went there and spoke it to them, and it was like their middle school, junior high athletic banquet, and all the little stuff like, should I get you in fantasy? What's the longest field? All those little.
Kids have no filter.
Yeah, all those like little questions you would expect, and then it was actually wild. One of the kids asked me, he said, "How do you deal with online, hate and criticism?"
Aww.
And I was like, well, first of all, he probably did his research, but I kind of stepped back. I was like, I told him, I was like, that might be the best question I've received in a lot of these events that I've done, and I told him, a lot of those same messages, whatever you want to say, social media is social media. People have their opinions, and some people don't like putting their faces next to their opinions, but I told him you really learn what your core is and what you're about, and your circle that supports you. And a lot of those same people that are, calling you this and that one week, the very next week they're apologizing and telling you how good of a job you did. And so, that was probably the closest, most touchy moment that somebody asked me that, because I don't know what that little man's story was, but say he dealt with something, and I'll probably never know whether that really resonated with him or not. But that just being able to answer that question, I feel like in front of a whole room of kids and their parents. I felt like that was, kind of a little bit of a moment for me. And, you just, you never know. Some people don't say good things out there. So yeah, you just got to stick to your guns and your circle of support and really just, rely on yourself and trust yourself and don't let anything get to you.
Yeah, I love it. You always have such a good mentality when it comes to the game and just life in general. It's always fun to talk to you, and I really appreciate the time that you took doing this today.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. Appreciate it.
That was a great conversation with Blake. I really appreciate him taking the time and going into the depth that he did about some of the different conversations, topics that we had. Learned a lot for sure. And somebody who is always willing to go into great depth and detail about something is our special teams coordinator, Darren Rizzi. He has been a huge component to this new kickoff rule. And after week 1, we have seen some changes in the amount of returns that there have been attempted. Here is Rizzi on some of the numbers that stood out to him.
Here's the numbers that I'm looking at. The numbers that I'm looking at in week 1 last year, in 2023, there was 31 kickoff returns for the entire league. This week, if I'm not mistaken, there was 54. There was a touchdown. The return percentage went from 20% to 33%. So we're looking for the improvements. When we made that decision league-wide to make the touchback to 30 instead of the 35, then there's going to be teams that say, you know what, we're not going to cover kicks in this particular game. We're going to kick touchbacks. So I can't sit here and tell you I was surprised by it. 2 things we wanted to do: make the play safer and make the play more exciting. We want more returns. So it might not be the number we're all looking for yet, and that's why I say it's a work in progress, but overall it's an improvement. And any improvement, in my opinion, is last year, again, we had the lowest return percentage ever in the history of the league. Anytime you use the word ever in this league, it's a big deal. And so the improvement was the thing that we were looking for the most. I'll give you a crazy stat. I told the guys this, we had to get the returns. So we had 12 last year, 2023, we had 12 kickoff returns against us. So where we had to get the return around the ground. Week 1, we had 9. So it's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. So 9 times last week, we had to tackle their kick returner. With the previous year, we only did it 12 times for the entire season. So, it's definitely a new game and a new deal, and that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see improvement in the play.
This kickoff is definitely adding a different element to the game, and it is something that is going to continue to evolve as teams work through it. Appreciate you tuning into the podcast today. We'll have another podcast Friday as we get a little bit deeper into the Cowboys and what we can expect from them in this Sunday's game. As always, you can get the New Orleans Saints podcast on NewOrleansSaints.com or anywhere you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast. Join us 3 times per week on NewOrleansSaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast.